and then 2 fights with Anthony Joshua. I don't even think we'll get 1 fight with Anthony Joshua. Someone puts it on him, and Ngannou might put it on him. If he puts in a good performance against Ngannou and comes through a little bit of adversity, I'd say, you know what, AJ's back.
But obviously now there's a lot of noise and a lot of juice. That's the wrong expression, isn't it, really, in terms of Conor Benn. A lot of attention.
He's not ready for that level. Boxing's about level.
If you look back on them videos, some of them,
hang on, you never
told me like a budgie, wasn't it?
You told me it looked all right. All right, Spencer. You know, jug ears over there, give him this thing.
Welcome to episode 60 of Talk Boxing with Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver, and this week, Carl the Cobra Froch.
I do.
Mr. Froch, nice to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Listen, last week, some social media activity involving you that forced me to leap to your defence, but you got involved with yourself. John Fury. I called him Uncle Fester, which everyone told me off about because they shouldn't call him that.
Yeah, a bit of comedy.
But I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
but go on, what's going on there? You going to get involved in that rubbish, are you?
Listen, I don't want to drag on about this too long. Everyone knows the story, but I had a few critical comments to say about Tyson Fury and his CV.
About his record,
Not just about his record, but where he is with his career at the minute.
Yeah.
And then I get asked certain questions by different parts of the media. Well, what do you think about this? And is he as good as him? And start comparing them. So, well, if you look at his CV and look at his best wins, you sort of go down there and you think, well, Deontay Wilder, quite an old Klitschko. And then Steve Cunningham, who was a cruiserweight.
He knocked him down, didn't he?
And he did a job. I mean, he struggled with Cunningham. He was on the floor, wasn't it? I'm not denying that he's a great fighter, and he's potentially one of the best of the modern era, especially if he beats Alexander Usyk. But John Fury doesn't like any kind of criticism, even if it's constructive, and even if it's coming from someone of a position who's actually entitled to an opinion. 4-time world champ, Hall of Famer. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, can't. But before,
He gets upset and starts getting silly and starts saying, "Listen, I'll fight you." Starts calling me out. So just so we're clear, I didn't call John Fury out, and I've got no intentions of fighting John Fury. But like he said, if it makes business sense, so if something stupid could happen, so for him, he wants to get paid. For me, I'd like to just set the record straight. But I've said, look, go in there with Mickey Theo or who's the other guy, Joe Egan.
Oh, Joe Egan,
We'll have a look at you, see if you can stand up for 3 minutes. You see it on my channel, Froch on Fighting, the best channel in the business.
Yeah, well done, Conor.
So I just passed it back to him. That's it. And he's gone quiet. But what John Fury needs to now do, in my humble opinion, is take on one of these guys that's his same age and same weight, and let's have a look at what he does. And if anything can happen with me and John, it'll be for a bit of fun. I've got plenty of respect for him. I love the family. Tyson Fury's great. Tommy Fury's doing what he's doing. And I've got nothing but respect and admiration for them. John Fury does get a bit carried away. Because sometimes he needs putting back in his box, which is what I did. But there's no disrespect intended, and I wouldn't want to fight him. I wouldn't want to punch John Fury in the face. He's nearly a 60-year-old bloke, and I'm a trained athlete. There's levels to the game. And even though I've been retired 10 years, when you've been of a certain level, you can't expect somebody like John Fury, in the condition he's in, and make what you want of his condition, you can have a look at him. And it's just like, I just couldn't punch him in the face. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Mickey Theo about 3 or 4 months ago because he phoned me up and said he wanted to talk about something, and it was to get something involved with talkSPORT, and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't call him back because I got caught up with something, and I think it was this situation with John Fury. I mean, we talk about it, Spence, all the time, don't we? We talk about the frailty. Now, obviously, my background was football, right? And obviously, me and Spence talk about this stuff every week. Fury called you a bum on a few things, and I think some of that's just theatrics, isn't it? It's just a basic, because he can't call you a bum, right? He can call you many things, but he can't call you that, right? Because he can't. You know, you don't get to have the body of work that you have, fought the way that you fought, and win the fights that you won, and fight the fights that you fought in, and get called that. But what do you make? I mean, you're a fighter, Carl. We talk about it regularly. This thin-skinnedness that seems to exist. Well, you like it because Anthony Joshua got his knickers in a twist a couple of times when I called him a flat track bully about some of the things that I felt that he hadn't done. Fury's gone off the reservation now, banning everybody that even says anything that vaguely he thinks is critical, even if it's interlaced with fair comment and interlaced with facts. And now it seems to me that they're all at it. The moment you say anything that isn't praising of them or has some sort of criticism attached to it, boom, the gloves are off, metaphorically. Is that just standard fare for you guys when you're in the sport, or is it specific and relatable to Tyson and his gang right now?
It's a very good question, and I think the reason we're in the position we're in now with Tyson Fury and his dad, and people getting upset, Anthony Joshua, with people's comments is because the times have changed. So if somebody said something about me that was derogatory or negative, it may or may not take up a little bit of a space in the boxing news.
Right.
Where now, if somebody says something critical or analytical, they will be instantly accessible on social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, on one of these talkSPORT shows or radio. It just gets out there and it's in your face and it's readily available at the push of a button. You're looking at your screen, you're like, he said this 10 minutes ago. So, no, I didn't used to get wound up to answer your question, but maybe if it was in my face every day, I'd be...
But don't you think that Fury's being slightly sensitive
Absolutely.
about the whole situation,
So,
and like with the dad jumping in as well and jumping on
I'm
you?
being honest with the way I'm answering it. When people were critical, I used to think, who said that? Well, Jeff Powell's been good to me, but Colin Hart from The Sun, you know, he's had a bit of negativity there. But then you forget about it and nobody else is talking about it. Where now if you say something, everybody's talking about it, especially if you're Tyson Fury. So, and Anthony Joshua. So I can't say if it would bother me or not, but I do think that they are oversensitive. You've got to be open to criticism. You've got to be able to take it on the chin and say, okay, that's your opinion. No, it's got to be fair.
Not stupid criticism.
But it's always fair. I mean, you get a load of idiots and trolls on social media. You just ignore them. You push them off the water off a duck's back. But when it's coming from somebody of my standing or your standing, we're entitled to our opinion.
Sure.
We should be able to have our say, and they should be able to take it on the chin. And if they want to come back with something that's constructive,
away you go.
we'll debate them like you do. You debate them. You invite them onto the channel. I invite them onto my channel. I mean, but this don't happen. They just ban you from going to the show. talkSPORT aren't allowed to go to boxing anymore. For me, that's ludicrous.
Listen, question: where do you think that Tyson Fury sits in this current modern era? His CV, where does it sit in this current modern era? When you're talking about resumes, and and John was very upset about that. Where do you see him sitting against the likes of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, and these current heavyweights?
Well, you're only as good as the era that you're sitting in.
Yeah,
and
but
it's all about boxing.
Where
it's all
does
about
it stack
time.
up with the others?
It's up there, isn't it, with the top two or three?
Yeah,
it's definitely.
But
up
is
there.
it the best? Is it the best, or would you say that Anthony Joshua's CV is better than Tyson Fury's right now? When you go through the list of names,
he's probably fought more. If you look at box rate, there's probably more green lights and there's more wins versus losses on his record. But the performance against Deontay Wilder was pretty special. When Wilder was a big gunslinger and he was landing big and knocking everybody out, so that's a good win. Where now a Deontay Wilder win isn't that good. If AJ goes in there tomorrow and beats Deontay Wilder, you'll say, well, what Paul did it to him? So it's all about timing. So Tyson Fury does deserve his position in the top three, and if he beats Usyk, if that fight does indeed happen, then he deserves the top spot for me. But it's in the current era.
Because I mean, you make the point, Spence, and I look back on over the history of, forget Ali era, but then move to the next era above it, because it's an easy go-to of Ali, isn't it? But then you go to Larry Holmes, right? Then you go to Mike Tyson, then you go on to Lennox Lewis, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the fighters that those guys fought. You look at, I followed Lennox around the world, watching him fight Hasim Rahman, watching him fight Evander Holyfield, watching him fight Michael Grant.
You forget how many good fighters he boxed.
Razor Ruddock, and on and on and on and on.
He beat 14 world champions.
Well, this is my point. And then you look at Larry Holmes, who got much underrated because he followed the Muhammad Ali era and never got the credit he should have got.
Riddick Bowe, Holyfield, that whole era.
And then you look at Tyson and where he fought, where he fights TNT and he fights, Tyrell Biggs and he fights Trevor Berbick and he fights Michael Spinks.
Yeah.
I personally don't think, with no agenda attached to this, that this generation of heavyweights compares.
It's not as competitive
to what the previous generations that you were trying to get Carl to opine on.
Yeah, but do you think that now this investment with Saudi Arabia, and we're going to get these guys, like we're going to go through later on in the show, you go through the list of heavyweights and where they're all sat right now, they'll all be boxing out in Saudi Arabia. When you look at it, and you've got like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk, you've got Daniel Dubois in the mix out there as well, and you've got these young ones like Filip Hrgovic coming through, and the others that are coming through. You will see these guys fighting now, I think, because the investment to Saudi Arabia will force that, and I think that's going to be a big changing of the times. I think
we're not seeing it yet, though, have we?
No, but I think we're going through that transition now.
Fury and Garner, now we've got AJ and Garner. So when are we going to see these big fights?
I think it happens 2024. I do. I truly do.
We'll wait and see then.
Listen, May the 18th. Do you think that's a realistic date for these two to get it on?
If they both won it, potentially.
No, but do you think that Tyson Fury's eye will be able to repair by May the 18th? Now,
it's tough to say, isn't it? That
he's not been stitched inside though. From what I understand, it's an outside stitch.
Said
it's also 15 weeks. It's nonsense. It's 3 months. It's 15 weeks. Not 10 or 12 weeks.
12 weeks from the old date, Feb 17.
Yeah.
So enough time.
Yeah, interestingly, Stitch Duran, who was a top cut man who he said that cut it's not the vessels, it's the tissue that's torn. So he believes that fight will be able to go ahead. And I think the $1 million question, Cole, is if he can get through the training, without coming out unscathed. How does he get through that?
Listen, that's going to come down to his desire and how much he wants it.
But you've got to have intense sparring, haven't you, going into a fight of that magnitude. So how do you protect that?
Well, you can wear a head guard with a face protector like I used to wear to protect the old bugle. You know, the old battering ram that I used to walk around with on my face and just barge through punches.
I tell you what, that looks sensational now, by the way. If you look back on them videos, some of them.
Hang on, you never told me.
They looked like a budgie, wasn't it?
You told me it looks all right. All right, Spencer. You know, jug ears over there, giving me stick.
It was like,
you can get pickles out of a jar with
it was like a beak. It was. No, so I was just.
But anyway, what are you saying? What was you saying actually before the insults flew in? I can't remember.
How can you get through the sparring?
Yeah.
So yeah,
how will he? Yeah, how will he get through it?
Plenty of Vaseline on the eye. You can even patch over the eye.
Do you believe we get it May the 18th?
I think we have to now, because if we don't, the Saudis are going to get upset.
Yeah.
And Tyson Fury's credibility is going to go through the floor. He's got 12, 15 weeks. I think we'll get this fight.
We've now heard that he's got 5 fights in mind.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Do you think we get to see them? Obviously, about a year ago, Carl, he talked about, I've got 10 fights. I'm going to give a pension to my old mate Derek Chisora. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other, right? That then distilled into something else, and we've obviously had the Saudi phenomenon come on the landscape, and that's changed the direction. Ngannou comes out, he fights him, right? But he's now got 5 fights on his radar, which is 2 against Usyk, apparently, 1 against...
2 against AJ, 1 against Ngannou, isn't
Joshua. Okay, and then 1 against Ngannou. What do you think to that? And what do you think is likely to be the outcomes of those?
Well, there's appetite for all of them fights. Usyk obviously will want that one. The rematch will depend on how the first one goes. If it gets badly beaten out of box, he might just think that's the end of me because I ain't got the desire or the energy to get back in the ring. He's got enough money to just retire and sit on a desert island for the rest of his life. But it's where is he mentally? So we move on from the Usyk one. You've got the Anthony Joshua fight. We still want to see Fury AJ, but that's based on how the fight goes with AJ and Ngannou and how Fury does with Usyk. So potentially 2 fights with Usyk, and then 2 fights with Anthony Joshua. I don't even think we'll get 1 fight with Anthony Joshua, but he's talking about something that potentially could happen because that's what we want to see. And then the rematch with Ngannou, and that'll be dependent on how AJ does with Ngannou. So there's too many variables, and not to mention the names that are involved. The fact that he's talking about having 5 fights, and he's now 35 years old, and he fights once a year. He's going into he's heading towards 40 years old. He struggles to get the weight off. He's up and down mentally, regardless of what he says. I'll let you some facts and statistics, and he's slowing down massively. He used to throw 50 feints around, 50 feints, always throwing feints, light on his feet, fast hands. He doesn't even throw 15 feints. I've sat and watched it and counted them, marked it down like a sado, like a geek, like a tech geek, and I've been marking down and watching him. He's slowing down. He's on the slide. He's been on the floor 5 times in his last 70 rounds of boxing.
He's definitely adapted his boxing style in recent fights. I think it was at the beginning or the second Wilder fight, you saw a massive change in his style where he holds his feet more, he pushes forward more, where he used to be very light on his feet, and like you say, fainting all the time.
He's getting hit a lot more now. And when you start getting hit at that weight, you have problems.
I believe that the fight happens...
Because everyone applauded that, didn't they? Because everyone applauded you're saying, boys, that are you saying structurally he's not able to do what he once did before, so he's
you can't do it.
Do you know, like it's like when you look at like a young Mayweather to a Mayweather in his late career, you look at it and you go, the good fighters, they've got that adaptability and they learn to adapt and control fights and change fights differently. And like Fury's sort of doing that. He's gone through that transition now where he can't move around on his feet anymore because he is 35 years of age and he carries too much weight.
That's one of his biggest assets. And
so
now
that's why he's getting in these fights.
So now he's sitting flat-footed, not throwing as many fights, getting hit with more shots. He's getting on for 36 years old. He's getting bigger and heavier. The desire's not there. We saw that in the Netflix show. So has he got 5 more fights left with these top-level contenders? I'd say no, but...
What do you make of the Ngannou? I mean, we've debated this, Spence, haven't we, about the lack of preparation. If you talk to Frank Warren, he spits feathers at you about the fact that he was ready for that fight. And I looked at that fight, and watching you guys go in a ring, you in recent times, and you and I have discussed the preparation and the way that you felt towards George Groves, right, in other environments, and what you wanted to do to him, and how you wanted to put your fist through his face, and what your glove felt like, and all that sort of stuff. But the intensity was there, right? I watched the Fury Ngannou fight. I saw no intensity in Fury. And that, to me, is a lack of preparation mentally. Is that what you saw? Because others are saying, and Fury has it himself, he doesn't give himself an excuse. I prepared for this fight properly, I was ready for this fight, everything about me was ready for this fight, I just got caught, and that's the end of that discussion. For me, that wasn't the scenario. I'm not to argue with a fella because it's his own mind, it's his own mouth. But looking from the outside, your eyes don't betray you. He's calling him Francis all week. He's not had a bad word to say about him. He's praising where the kid comes from and the challenges that he's overcome. He gets in the ring. There's none of that looking across the ring like he did at Deontay Wilder, calling him a and what he was going to do to him. It was all very easy-osy. Did you see it that way?
From my point of view, if I'm fighting and defending a world title against somebody like Mikkel Kessler, and then all of a sudden, 7 or 8 weeks beforehand, they say, right, you're not fighting Mikkel Kessler anymore. You're fighting this MMA fighter who's actually retired from MMA.
So what would you?
And he's never boxed in his life. I'd be thinking, bloody, I've got a right easy touch.
Yeah.
Steady. I don't need to spar as hard.
Wouldn't you be feeling that I could get humiliated if I get
No, you just think
like
this is an easy fight in my head.
From a fighter's point of view, you need to have that fear factor to switch you on.
Yeah.
And do it. You can do all the training you want. You can say you're training. His body told you he hadn't trained as a. Say again.
I mean, the bigger fear. I mean, again, you boys have done it, so I can only speak about it. But the fear of embarrassment isn't that a spur?
Not because he believed that he go, look, listen, when you're a fighter
in Fury's head,
someone.
In Fury's head, if you think it's a mismatch, you're not thinking about getting embarrassed. You're thinking this is going to be easy.
Listen, you look at his body and you can tell that he hadn't trained the way that he was meant to train.
He's made that mistake. It switched off, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he turned up 100% prepared. Maybe
that's what I think.
Physically, but mentally, I don't think it would have been impossible mentally to turn up correctly prepared for somebody who's making his professional debut. You'd be thinking to yourself, this is easy. Look at what happened to Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. You'd be looking at it going, Mayweather played with him,
didn't he?
Played with him. Took him out when he wanted to take him out. So I think Tyson Fury...
Is it different than heavyweights, though? Because these guys have got the ability to just let one go.
No, who shouldn't have been getting near the WBC heavyweight champ.
Yeah. So does that mean, in your boys' views, that really and truly he ain't going to get anywhere near Anthony Joshua?
I think he'll be better in the rematch. Yeah, and Ngannou might really struggle to get close to AJ if AJ opts to box and move and use the art of pugilism to its best. The skills he's got.
AJ now knows what he's going into, so it's not that unknown, is it? So he's seen Ngannou, so now he will be switched on because he knows that if Ngannou gets in the pocket, he is dangerous and he can clip him. So AJ will box very clever. He'll keep it tight. He'll keep it long, and I think he'll just break him down.
But Ngannou could get close. Could get on his chest, back him up. So he means business from round one. AJ might think, bloody hell, what's going on here? And Ngannou's big and strong, big, heavy and strong.
Yeah.
And if you've seen him in the mixed martial, you've seen him in the cage. He can fight, and he's good at standing up and fighting. And he's showed he's got good distance and timing. It's a really interesting fight, AJ and Ngannou. I expect AJ to outbox him.
Yeah.
And if it went wrong, I wouldn't be surprised.
It's got credibility in it.
If you went into the octagon, either one of you two, you in your time, Spence, and you and yours, you'd have expected to have gotten beaten pretty comprehensively pretty quickly, wouldn't you?
Well, once they start kicking you in the legs and
Yeah.
start getting close to you and taking you on the ground, I think you're bang in trouble if you're a boxer.
I spoke to Leon Edwards, who's the welterweight UFC,
it's
and they're like, murder you guys. If you got an octagon, it wouldn't last a round.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a bit of an embarrassment then that the other way round, that these guys can get in your place of business and seem to be occupying a bit of precedence?
Someone like Ngannou's a striker in what he does anyway. So yeah, he's good at grappling, and he's good, he's strong, and he's got a low sense of gravity where he's physically really strong. So he's worked on the wrestling side of things, but he's a good striker as well. So he does a bit of boxing and whatnot. So some of the UFC guys are better strikers than they are grappling than they are strikers.
I don't think it's as much as a mismatch. As much as a mismatch as people think, especially Tony Bellew, because he harps on about, like, you haven't got a chance, no way, no chance, that's it, fight over, box it in a cage, no chance. I'm like, 2 arms and 2 legs. The geese are smaller than me. I don't, in my own mind, I don't think it's such a mismatch. So when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather, it was a mismatch because McGregor can only use his hands and he's got to stand up, and he's not a boxer. And Mayweather is a fantastic one of the best of ever. So you put Mayweather then in a cage. Does that all of a sudden become a total mismatch and Conor McGregor takes him out? I'd say no, because I think Mayweather can sit back behind his jab, still time him with a right hand, have a look at the feet and try and... I'd love to see it, to know for sure, but I don't think it's a one-sided whooping.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm maybe I'm stupid.
No, yeah, I think...
Because they do, the UFC guys, they get you in there,
I think the UFC guys have got a much better chance if the boxer goes into the cage as opposed to them coming into the ring. Well, without a doubt, I think. What I'm saying is the boxer goes in there. I think the UFC guy takes him out every time because he's quick on his feet, and he'll take. As soon as they take your legs away, you're done. You're thinking like in the boxing ring, you're just striking, aren't they?
I'm a bad example because I used to do a bit of karate in my time. Got a few moves. So
I'll be all right. Kobe's all right, yeah.
I think I'm all right. I like to roll around on the cobbles as well. I reckon I'd be all right in there.
You think you would, yeah?
I might be delusional. But
what about the rest of the heavyweights? Obviously, we've now got... We were discussing it off air before we came on about the opportunity. We're actually discussing it now in terms of the context of what you said earlier on about the landscape, of the comparison of generations and who fought who and who didn't, right? And now I think, that the Saudis are going to open the door, and with the newfound love-in between Eddie and Frank, they're all going to find solutions to all the problems they couldn't find before. And obviously we've got this list of heavyweights out there, and what we think they're going to be doing. I mean, we've discussed Anthony, but we can go into a bit more depth about AJ. We've obviously got AJ, we've got Daniel Dubois, who was calling out Filip Hrgovic, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We've got Zhilei Zhang, who's been made into a superstar by Joe Joyce's performances against him. We've got Parker, we've got Hrgovic, and we've got Joe Joyce.
Yeah.
I mean, this landscape is interesting. What do you expect, you boys, to see from these guys over the ensuing year?
I think other than Daniel Dubois, I just think they're all getting on a little bit. So they're all nearing towards the end of the career. Joe Joyce is about done, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua's
Parker's
heading
31,
35.
so
Parker's 31, but he's got a lot of miles
time.
on the clock.
Yeah.
But he's boxing better. So Parker's still in the mix. But I just think with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, Joe Joyce I don't know if he's finished yet, but he's about ready to hang them up, I think. I know he's coming back and he's going to continue fighting, but I don't think there's many fights left with the top three.
Hang on, I mean, what you think, because the two damaging fights he had against Zhilei Zhang, you think Joe Joyce is tantamount to being done?
I think his biggest attribute, his biggest asset was the ability to take a punch, and now that's virtually gone.
Right.
It appears to be gone. Yeah. Maybe it might not be, we'll see in his next fight, but if that goes, it's game over.
They'll throw him back in the mix, and I think with all the names that you've mentioned there, Simon, I think that you'll get, because the Saudis seem to be very interested in those heavyweights, I think we'll get like a Super League where you're getting them all boxing each other, and you'll see them coming through, and then we've obviously got the Undisputed going on, and then that you've got this little four-way fight thing going on with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Usyk, and Ngannou in there as well. And I think that once the winner of that comes through, you're going to get the winner of that, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get like a little Super League. Do
you think? I mean, obviously the old AJ fan club over there probably does, but do you think Anthony's going to win another world title, Carl?
Potentially, yes. But is
that based upon the opportunities that in terms of who he gets to fight? Maybe
the IBF, if it becomes vacant, Hrgovic is talking about fighting it. I think he's probably a bit too big for Hrgovic. Maybe not too big, but just a bit. He's better than Hrgovic. He's got a chance there. Joseph Parker is hanging around now, and he might get his shot and end up picking a title up. And when Tyson Fury hangs the glove,
hold on a minute. Yeah, but what about if he boxes Tyson Fury now? If he goes AJ boxes Fury now.
That fight's too far away from me, and I don't.
But I'm just saying. He's saying, can he win another world title? I'm saying, if that fight was made, let's say that like Tyson Fury does come through against Usyk, AJ comes through against Ngannou. Yeah. Turki Al-Sheikh said that he wanted the winner versus the winner. Say we do get that fight in between the rematch. If we do, who would win that?
I'll make Tyson Fury the favourite.
What, a huge favourite? Do you think AJ's got a shot?
Not as huge a favourite as I did 6 months ago before he fought Ngannou, but still a favourite.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua's not been in there with the.
You see him more?
I think AJ wins that fight.
Are you seeing more from him, Carl? I mean,
I can't draw that assessment based on his last 4 fights.
You can only go on, but you can only go on like sort of when you go on last performances. I go AJ.
What, Otto Wallin?
No, but it's all about the psychological stuff of AJ, and I think that's about that confidence and having that confidence in his own ability. And I think we're seeing that, and I think he's going to gain a lot more as well from Ngannou, because they're going to be comparing Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. We don't know exactly, what Fury's going to turn up if he does turn up on May 18th, because the rumours circulating from the training camps, he was not sparring well. That's what we were hearing. And I know they're only rumours, and I only know they're circulating. But what I'm saying is, if you look at that and you look at the performance that he put in against Ngannou, then you hear that the training's maybe not going as well as expected. I think you look at that and you go, it might be about, what it's like, Cole, it's timing.
It is.
And AJ seems to be starting to get better.
If AJ fights Tyson Fury next, I think Tyson Fury wins. I think he turns up better prepared than when he fought Ngannou. And if AJ fights Alexander Usyk, then we know what happens. He can't beat Usyk.
Got close though, didn't he, in the second fight?
It was close, but Usyk, when it got close, Usyk was able to step it up and take over. He always fights within himself, always wins the round, just nicks him. And if he's in a close round, watch his next round, what happens? He opens up a can of whoop.
Are you seeing more in Anthony Joshua? I mean, the question was about after the Franklin fights and Helenius, that in fairness to Helenius didn't come really to fight in the same way he fought Deontay Wilder, did he? Yeah. But against Otto Wallin in December, you and I spoke again somewhere else about the lights potentially going out on Anthony Joshua and not having the preparedness to get in range and do things that it takes you to win a fight, go to dark places, right? Yeah. Do you see anything different in? I mean, people turn around and say you've got a bit of a problem with AJ because of Rob McCracken.
Yeah, not at all.
And there's a bit.
I couldn't care less who trains.
They'll have me believe that you're deeply envious of them all. But do you see anything more in Anthony in terms of his lights-on attitude and the preparedness to go where it takes than you've seen in previous fights?
Yeah, I think the Otto Wallin fight for me showed that he was confident with going on his front foot, confident of throwing more than 1 and 2 punches, because he put the odd 2 or 3 punch combinations together, But I thought Otto Wallin was awful. I just didn't think he was good. He looked scared. He was on his back foot. He was shying away from punches.
Is that not because
He
Anthony
didn't
made him look that way?
Potentially. But
That's
how good is
he made Lucian Booty look like nothing.
Yeah, but how good is Otto Wallin? I mean, look at his record and look at who he's beat and look at what's... I mean, AJ did what he had to do. But you need to see him in with someone who comes to win. You need to see him in with a Hergovic.
I think you have to pay him props, though. You can only beat what's put in front of you.
Absolutely.
No matter that he done that, you just go, right, he's ticked the boxes that you're looking for from what you've wanted to see from Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, yes.
It's going to be interesting over the next 12 months.
He's on the rise.
Sure.
He's on the mend. He's looking better than...
Can you get it back? The argument's always been you can't get it back. Once the pilot light's gone out, you can't get it back on again.
Maybe he can.
Can he get it back?
We need to see somebody stick it on him. No one stuck it on him.
Yeah, and ask the question afterwards.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone puts it on him. Like Ngannou might put it on him. If he puts in a good performance against Ngannou and comes through a little bit of adversity, I'd say, you know what? AJ's back. This is great. And be excited.
Yeah.
There's no agenda. I want him to do well.
I mean, he's done, hasn't he, Wilder?
I feel like Wilder's done. Yeah, he's been on.
Wilder is 100% done. Like that performance he put in, that wasn't just a bad night. That was a guy that you're looking at and you go, the fight has left you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Have you heard of that ceremony, the ayahuasca ceremony, which makes your body release a chemical called dimethyltryptamine, known as DMT?
Dr. Froch now.
Once you've been on that ayahuasca ceremony, you've done that DMT.
Yeah.
You're a different person. You have a spiritual awakening. You're not a killer anymore.
He went from talking about putting people in body bags, didn't he? He's talking about putting people in body bags, to saying how happy he was, and how pleased he was to be here. We go, like you said, I think that for Wilder, that was what it was all about. That killer instinct, that killer mindset.
That was
definitely left him. Yeah, he was just happy to be there and happy to be a part of it. And
so unless he gets that back, he's bang in trouble.
Done, yeah.
He didn't look like he was punching very hard.
No.
His legs looked skinnier than usual.
He didn't look like he wanted to punch.
He just doesn't look like that fighting machine. And that may be because of the way Tyson Fury dragged him through 3 fights.
Yeah, that's right.
It takes a lot out of you.
Of course it does.
You leave a piece of you in that ring every time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the fight against Elenius was a one round knockout. So you can't
get into that. Yeah.
What about Daniel? What about Dubois? I mean, obviously, a lot of people have made observations about him that there's an element of swallow in him in terms of he didn't have the preparedness to fight back against Usyk in the 9th round. Didn't jump on Usyk when he had a chance, when Usyk was clearly damaged. And obviously, it goes all the way back to the Joyce fight, and people made, I think, slightly unfair observations because he was badly damaged, wasn't he?
Broken ice.
But he's now appeared to have redeemed himself.
I was impressed with against Jarrell Miller.
Was you?
Yeah, I was, because Jarrell Miller came, he gave him a jab talk at the press conference in the weigh-in. He was pushing him
Gave
around.
everybody the
He's
talk,
big and strong, and he has a go. Yeah. And at times, Daniel Dubois was outboxing him, but then he had to meet him as he came, staying close with him, shove him off and not get bullied and pushed back. And it was an intense... Did he go 12 rounds?
Yeah, it went 12.
Yeah. That was an intense...
They stopped him in the 11th.
September 11th.
Yeah.
But
it was intense for Daniel Dubois. Sorry to stop you, but it was intense for Daniel Dubois, and I saw a lot in that fight and a lot in his character that he took from maybe taking a knee against Usyk, a good experience against one of the best in the business. Yeah. He's only 25, 26,
I think. Isn't he?
He's got a bright career.
Does he win a world title?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah. I think that the pluses for him is he's teamed up with Don Charles, who's got great experience with Derek Chisora's old trainer. Don's, boxed or trained people at that level, and he's a good coach. And I think he picked him up a lot there, Daniel. And you look at Daniel's performance there after 2 rounds against Miller. He was there, and I'm looking at him, and when he walked back to that corner in that 2nd round, he was gassing. Yeah. He was gassing right now. The old Daniel Dubois would have started doubting himself and asking himself questions, but the corner done a good job with him. Yeah, it was nervous energy, but he managed to pull himself through that. And you look at that and you go, for a young kid, and what is he? Yeah, like you say, 26. You look at him and you go, improving massively. I think he can definitely go on and win a world title. I thought that was a solid performance against.
I agree. I was impressed, and he came through some moments there where
he did.
When you do question yourself, where you sit down on that stall after round 40, you think, I'm blowing it. The guy keeps coming, he's letting shots go. If you're unsure of yourself and you don't really want it, and you haven't got that belief, then there's times there where you fold, you go out and you go into your shell and you get outboxed or you get stopped. But he didn't. He met fire with fire, and he's in against Jarrell Miller. So put it into perspective, but still, questions were asked, and he answered them to the tune where I said, you know what, he could do something in the future.
Talking about questions, there is an endless array of questions surrounding Conor Benn and what's going on with him. Obviously, from the position that he finds himself in, to how well that's been handled, and what mistakes he should have, whether he should have taken the punishment early and got it out of the way. But obviously now there's a lot of noise and a lot of juice. That's the wrong expression, really, in terms of Conor Benn. A lot of attention around Conor Benn. He fights Pete Dobson last week. The question sort of half popped out of our mouths, didn't it? Where's the power gone?
Yeah.
Kind of, without trying to be too arsehole clever. He's been linked now to Tank Davis.
Yeah.
He's been linked to
Devin
Manny
Haney.
Pacquiao and Devin Haney. And I like Conor. I like him as a bloke, and I'd like to find him find a way to clear himself if he can. But is he at these levels to be in the conversation with these sort of fighters?
You're talking about Gervonta Davis' boxes at 135, like Conor Benn's up at 147. It's not really realistic. I get that what they're trying to do, and they're trying to keep his name relevant and everything else. They're calling out Devin Haney, who's down at 140. Like, I think that Conor needs to focus on his weight division, fighters in his weight. You know, you've got people there. If he wants to call out these big names, call
David
out Boots
Avanesyan.
Ennis.
Yeah.
Call out Jerome Boots Ennis. You know, like this guy's the IBF champ or something, undefeated. He's the name, the one they're the big talking about. If you want to call out these names, call people like that out. You've got Terence Crawford. Call Terence Crawford out. I don't think that calling Gervonta Davis gains you any sort of
So what's he doing then?
I really don't know. It don't make any sense to me.
He's mentioned Crawford. He's mentioned Devin Haney.
Yeah.
To me, they're mismatches.
Yeah.
He wants to stay well away from them.
Yeah, I would have thought
because
so,
he's not ready for that level.
Yeah.
Boxing's about levels.
Yeah.
Now, to call out Gervonta Davis, if Gervonta Davis, with his ability and punching power and the way he, pound for pound, if you like, weight divisions aside, that also is a mismatch. But it's clever for Conor Benn to mention Gervonta Davis's name because boxing has weight divisions for a reason. Gervonta Davis is 2 weight divisions below him. What is he, 135?
Yeah, 135.
And he's been up at 160. Has he been up at 160, Conor Benn?
Well,
Talking about going up.
No, they were talking about him going at 157 against
He's been up at
Eubank Jr.
he was
157.
He was 154 in his fight previous, his first comeback fight.
Yeah.
He boxed at 154, and then people were
And he's
doubting
probably got the
his punch
ability.
power
He's
for
probably
that,
got the
weren't they?
ability to go up to middleweight, which is 160. But let's just say he's 154. It's still 2 weight divisions above Gervonta Davis. So it's a smart move, but it could still be disastrous for him because Gervonta Davis is at that level that's prepared, that's competed at elite level for many years. When I started sparring at the Lennox Lewis College in Clapton, I jumped in with a guy called Wayne Alexander, who was a middleweight.
He won the ABAs and I did, yeah.
Did he? Won the ABAs.
Same year.
And he was British champion. And I was still learning my craft, and he was too much for me, I'll be honest. This is a light middleweight British champion. Heavy hands, pushing me around the ring, hitting me with shots. I'm thinking, bloody hell, is this what it's like? And then you spar for 2 or 3 months, you get used to it, you see him in the gym, and then you're customised to that. Then it was Howard Eastman, the Buatsi bomber, who fought William Joppy and Bellew Hopkins. He fell short. I mean, he chucked the William Joppy fight away, Howard Eastman. But
Good
then
fight,
I started
strong.
sparring with him, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, welcome to the pros. Big right hand on my chin. I wasn't wobble, but I felt the shots. And then you get used to it. And you go through these periods of transition, and then you take better fights and harder fights. And then you find yourself in the ring with Jean Pascal. And you're ready for it because you've won the British, you've won the Commonwealth, you've stepped around European level before stepping up. Conor Benn,
I love it. Always comes back to Carl, doesn't it?
No, but I'm using it as an example.
Yeah, but he's
I'm
using
using
it
it
as
as
a
an example
development. I understand
to
it,
the
but
level. I can only compare what I've done.
He's always going to go there.
If it wasn't a
anyway.
relevant
It's
example,
always
he was
going
going to find a way to wheedle it in.
You can't talk about the Cobra. You've got the Cobra in to talk
See
about.
what I mean?
But it's a good example, isn't it? You know, it's a good example because you step up through the levels, and Conor Benn is of a level which, for me, is a beginner pro level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's not at that level.
He's not had the British title. He's not had the Commonwealth
We've
title.
been in with some guys. We've been with Samuel Vargas. He's been in with Formella. He's been in with Chris Algieri. hasn't he?
Algeria, the one round knockout.
Yeah. So these are decent
but
fighters, aren't they? He's never on their way down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, when you call Terence Crawford and Devin Haney and Gervonta Davis,
Yeah, you're
you've got to
being
be careful
silly.
what you wish for.
Yeah.
I rate him for backing himself.
Yeah.
The
It's
fact
a
that
bit like John Fury calling you out there, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. But let's just say Conor Benn really believes in himself and he's backing himself for that. You've got to give him praise for that, and I admire that. And I'd love him to go in there and put a performance on and say, F off to you lot. See what I've just done? I've just either lost on a close points decision or I've just beaten one of these top guys because he's frustrated. He's fuming. He wants to get in there and show the world what he's got, but he just needs to be careful what he wishes for.
What do you think
He
is
needs
going
to
to
be
happen?
brought on.
What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, he's got his hearing this month.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Robert Smith at the Buatsi Aziz fight because he told us last time round that the hearing for Conor was in January.
Yeah.
Right, because I was saying to him, when's this kid going to get his hearing, for Christ's sakes?
Yeah.
You know, and he said January. And then when I saw him at the Buatsi fight, he said it's in February because the reasons why it's been delayed is because Conor Benn has been over training for this fight in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how do you see this playing out for Conor?
Well, listen, it's all down to what evidence he can present, isn't it? I think that's where it is. And if he can't present the evidence, then he's got to face the ban. And I think that's what it is. Because he's not got his British Boxing Board of Control licence, they can't ban him because he doesn't hold the license. He voluntarily gave that up.
No, but they'll stop everyone that's got a British Boxing Board of Control license for fighting him and training him and sparring with him.
If he's innocent, like he says he's innocent, he's always pleaded he's innocent, and although those 2 tests say that he's not, he has to present that evidence. And if he doesn't,
put aside if he cops to the.
But what does he expect people to think?
I get it, right? But let's just say move aside the argument that he gets banned or he doesn't get banned. Let's say they're given the circumstances are what they are, and they come down on him and they ban him for 6 months because ultimately he's had 18 months of sort of treading limbo, right? And they do it that way. Do you think Conor Benn
sort of backdate it?
Yeah, find a way around it. To be fair, like did Tyson Fury.
It's coming up 2 years in March, I think.
Right, so let's say that happens.
And Canelo Alvarez.
And
Roy Jones Jr.
And Povetkin. And we go on.
Right? Tyson Fury.
Right? And
so he needs his day in front of the board, and then we'll get a decision. And then he can move on with his career.
But then let's say he gets some sort of ban or he gets cleared, right? Do you see Conor Benn winning a world title? Based upon what you've seen so far?
Depending on...
Well, weight class,
potentially. Potentially, I think he's good enough.
Yeah.
He's certainly got that mindset and that heart and desire, and he wants to put the hard work in. He wants it, so he'll put the hard work in. He'll put the training in. He's got the backing. He's got the promotional machine behind him.
He's a grafter. That's
absolutely,
for sure.
And that's sometimes enough to win a world title.
Absolutely.
If the guy that's the world champion isn't an absolute monster like some of them are in that division, but I think his time will come. Yeah. And I think he has got the ability to win a world title.
Where's Billy Joe Saunders, by the way? He's supposed to be fighting at light heavyweight in Christmas, wasn't he?
I don't know if that comeback's ever going to happen.
He's in the all-you-can-eat buffet, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Kell Brook, you want to see him back?
No.
No?
No, Kell Brook's fragile.
No, I don't want to see Kell back either.
Physically and mentally fragile now. I mean, when I say mentally, he can't have any confidence. I know it was a great win against Amir Khan.
That's 2 years ago now, isn't it?
And it was great. But with his injured cheekbones, where he is with himself in terms of his head, when you have a year out of the ring, it's too long to then come back at any kind of level. What's he had out now? A couple of years?
The problem with Kell Brook is he's coming back for the wrong reasons. He's coming back because he's looking to find something. He can't find any direction in life. And I think that's where Kell's at. And so he goes, right, let's get back in the boxing ring because that gives me some sort of focus.
It's sad. It's a shame, really. Because he's got his wife and kids. He's got children. And he, for me, he was a great athlete. He was a top fighter, top boxer.
Great athlete.
What about pivoting out of those areas of Conor and so on and so forth into Anthony Yarde? I like Anthony Yarde. I really like him as a fighter. I mean,
good performance at the weekend.
You think that he gets better in the loss against Beterbiev, don't you?
I think he gets better in every loss that he's had against Kovalev. I think he had that opportunity in the 8th round. Yeah. He went for it. He rolled the dice, gassed himself a little bit, inexperienced, let him down.
Wasn't it? It was late in the fight, wasn't it? I thought it was in the 11th round he had a chance against Kovalev.
No, I think it was in the 8th. It was 8 if he got stopped in the 11th. Yeah. So then, you fast forward, he goes back to the drawing board. I think Tunde's doing a great job with him. He never had a big amateur pedigree, and he gets his chance against Beterbiev. And I think that he put in an unbelievable performance. When you look at the Callum Smith performance against Beterbiev now, you look at that and go, he done well there.
Beterbiev got better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, was it that he got better, or was it just that Yarde was better than what we give him credit for? I think Anthony Yarde's emerged as... He's possibly number one light heavyweight out there right now.
I think he's a really good talented fighter and he's a world-class sort of fringe level operator. I don't think he's good enough. We saw it against Beterbiev, and then we saw it against Kovalev, who was actually nearing the end of his career, Kovalev, because he was finished, wasn't he? Not finished, but he was...
Coming to the end.
Was past his... He already lost to Andre Ward in that one. Was it after the Andre Ward loss? So I feel like he...
Who's Andre Ward? Who's he ever beaten?
Yeah, but he kind of quit against Andre Ward. I know he got hit with low blows. I'm just going to ignore it.
I'm just going to ignore it. I noticed you just let that
Andre
one
Ward
go.
beat Kovalev. But not taking anything away from Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde, for me, is a top-level fighter. And he'll give any of them a really good fight. Unfortunately, he came up against Beterbiev, who's a monster puncher. Yeah. You put Anthony Yarde in with Callum Smith, I think Yarde beats Callum Smith.
Here's the next question. It leads on to this question because this is the fight that I think is going to happen next. I think both camps want to make it. I think Ben wants to make it a boxer, and I think Frank wants to make it, and George want to make it from Queensbury. Buatsi.
Yeah, great fight. I mean, that's the one that's being spoken about.
Well, this is the point. This is what I'm leading towards. It's setting up the argument around Anthony Yarde's performance on Saturday, which was a credible performance. Got rid of the fella. Yeah. Did a good job.
Yeah.
Looked slick, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked very good. Good body shots, good finish.
But now we're talking about potentially, and I think that's the preference, because the argument was that perhaps they're going to put Callum Smith in against Buatsi.
Well, Buatsi looked good against...
I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Yarde, Buatsi.
Buatsi looked really good against Dan Aziz for me. Yeah. And he finished strong. I know there was a slip on the canvas, but he was letting the shots go and he was finishing strong. After being under the have cost you a little bit from round 8, 9. And Dan Aziz was fancying the job and getting closer to him and connecting with some shots. But Buatsi's got that. What's he won? A bronze medal in the Olympics.
Yeah,
extra
grade,
grade.
16.
And is developing now into a good fighter. He's starting to back
Who wins
himself.
that fight then?
Anthony Yarde Buatsi, it's a really good fight. That.
Yeah, I think
it's a
so
good
too.
fight. It's a close one.
It's a great
and
fight.
it's just how good is Buatsi? He looked good against Dan Aziz, but there's levels, isn't
Listen, look at that performance that he had when he had a great fight, didn't he, with Craig Richards in 2022. He come through that fight. He won on a unanimous decision, but it was a great ding dong. But you look at what Craig Richards has gone on and done, and he pushed Bivol all the way and whatnot. Craig Richards is an underestimated fighter, and you look at it and you go, you know what, Buatsi can fight. He's a decent fighter. Like you say, I think it's one of those.
I sparred with him.
It could come down to Cole with that one. At that amateur pedigree and that, you know, what he's got there, that could play a massive significance on who wins this fight, because Yarde doesn't have that experience. And I think that could be
if that fight's made next
between the two.
Joshua Buatsi and Anthony Yarde, I'd have to make, just on paper and just from what I've seen and what I know about the game, which is a little bit, I'd have to make Yarde the slight favourite. But I wouldn't be. Even
based upon the fact that you believe that amateur credentials are a big part of it.
Yeah, the amateur credentials are there, but all top amateurs don't transcend into and make good pros.
No, I understand that.
So Yarde and his experience and the way he believes in himself and his stylistically is awkward.
He's getting better, isn't he, Anthony?
I just think, but Buatsi could go in there, start catching him, start backing him up, start getting to him and force a stoppage. But I think the smart money and the very slight favourite for me is Anthony Yarde. But what a great fight!
Yeah, I agree. What do you reckon on Ben Whittaker then? I mean, I saw Ben last week, and he's a very nice kid out of the ring. A lot of people get a lot of nonsense about what they think people in the ring do, and he's gained a lot of attention. And everywhere you go, people want to talk to him now. And I think you should watch out for that a little bit, because he'll get too carried away with it if people don't manage him properly. But I think they will. But you commented on the fight, didn't you? You commented on the Buatsi Aziz fight, so you'd have been there for the Ben Whittaker fight against Khalid. I mean, what do you make of him?
I think he's supremely talented.
Yeah.
Was he Olympic silver medalist? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah. He didn't want it either. He's the one that said, because when he came away from it going, I don't want the silver. It's first loser.
First loser. That's what I felt.
I quite like that.
I won the bronze medal, and I don't even know where I've got it somewhere. I don't even know where it is, and I'm not being disrespectful to any medals other than the gold. But for me, it's representative. It signifies you losing. That means I lost. I got bronze because I got beat. So I'm not really interested, and I'd feel the same about silver, even though it's a little bit shinier.
Yeah.
So Ben Whittaker's got that same
silver, Spence, don't you?
No, I've got the same problem, mate. My silver's been in the drawer 25 years. Don't look at it. Not interested.
No good to you.
What's the second's the first loser, isn't it? Like, you know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
it is.
You don't feel like if I'd been told before I went out to the games that I was going to get a silver, I would have been like elated. I would have been jumping around doing somersaults. But
when you get beat in the semi-final,
the
final course,
and then I've got to listen to the Australian national anthem, and I'm standing in the ring, and it's all a little bit sore.
What was that for? You got silver, did you?
Yeah, silver. Robbie Peden. I boxed a guy called Robbie Peden.
What was that
in the Commonwealths '94.
How did you manage that?
Just a good fighter, wasn't I?
Decent, wasn't it? Didn't know that.
A trip down amnesia
It's
lane.
inspiration, mate. I mean,
The Omen. Yeah, I used to love watching you, mate, as a pro. I really did. So, to answer your question, Ben Whittaker for me is a
you'd have to get the last word in. I knew you'd do that.
Ben Whittaker
is a fantastic talent. I like him. I enjoy the showmanship. I love it. I was inspired by Prince Nassim Hamed when I was retired from amateur boxing. I got back into boxing at 19. Watching Prince Nassim Hamed and Roy Jones Jr. Mainly Hamed, but the Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones Jr. That kind of ability to be able to land shots, have a little bit of a show off, and then put a combination together. And Muhammad Ali, like years before then, they had that showmanship. And Ben Whittaker is levelled up, hasn't he? I mean, what is he, light heavyweight, and he's putting on these dancers while he's performing.
I know.
He annoys the referee because he threw a bit of a backhand, and he turned around, which you can't do.
Yeah.
And the
I
crowd,
think the referee practiced that in the mirror, though, hasn't he?
some of the crowd boo it, some cheer it. As he steps up, we'll see. I hope he keeps the flair. I hope he keeps that showmanship, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just the way he swaggers around the ring in between his work. He needs to be careful, but you compare that win last Saturday, that was a good win, and it was a good, solid performance.
He's a tough guy who took Dan Aziz 8 rounds not long ago, actually. He's a tough, durable guy, and I think that his punch awareness, Ben Whittaker's, is incredible. He just sees and gets out of the way of it, like you say, the showmanship.
Reflexes of a cat.
Yeah. We live in a world. He's an entertainer, and we live in that world. And I think that
what's got better reflexes, a cat or a cobra?
A cat. I saw a video the other day of a cobra.
Always land on their feet.
No, the cobra it struck the cat, and it was in slow mo, and the cat was like, "Get out of my way!" A little shoulder roll.
What videos you watching?
Someone sent it me. It was a cat and a cobra.
The dark web.
Okay.
The only thing that can do the cobra is the mongoose. The mongoose gets the cobra. But no, the cat.
So if you was in a ring
reflexes.
with Ben Whittaker, and he was doing, well, you'd say, well, he couldn't do it to me, right? But if he was doing it,
Good
right?
impression, though. Is that what I sound like? When
He sounded like John Fury then.
Listen,
I'm a fighting man.
I didn't have the skill or the ability or the natural talent to be able to sit outside of range of somebody like Ben Whittaker and try and match him and outbox him. I'd have had to get close to him, close the gap, lean on him, get hold of him, bully him, back him up. Andre Durrell against me, being as you're talking about me. Too fast, too much skill. Was he Olympic bronze or silver medalist? First fight in the Super Six. I bullied him. I backed him up, got hold of him, ragdolled him, chucked him on the floor, told him what I was going to do to him in the clinchers, and just hurt him and bent his arm. And that's what you'd have to do to Ben Whittaker.
But psychologically, does it? I mean, as a fighter, would you go, you piss taker? Does it, or do you just get on with it when someone's
I've got to get on with it.
You just get on with it. It's not gonna. That's not going to come into like him taking a piss like that is the last thing on your mind.
Right.
It's more about closing the gap.
Because everyone's getting offended on behalf of fighters, aren't they? Because all these people, like when I sat with Noel Gallagher, as you know, was sitting with me because you interviewed him afterwards, and he was getting a bit offended by the fact that, well, do you know what? It's entertainment.
It's what it is.
It's what we're here for. And if you get someone to do that, and ultimately it's up to the fighter in the ring to deal with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what happened with Ben Whittaker?
The fighter in the ring doesn't feel like he's getting humiliated. No, he's just getting on with it. All he's thinking about is closing that gap and wanting to. He's just getting more frustrated.
I disagree with that a little bit. I do think
he's getting more
frustrated.
frustrated.
Feel a little bit humiliated, a little bit.
Right.
Have you been humiliated in the ring before?
Because you've seen the ultimate, haven't you, with Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard with no mass.
No mass, you give up. Like
that's frustration. That's not humiliation. That's more frustration.
Just shut up a minute. Just shut up and let me speak. I was sparring with a guy. Back to me. I was sparring with a guy called Louis Garcia from Cuba in Ireland for my first world title fight. And he was doing things like arms down, tapping his foot, hitting him with an uppercut, running rings around me. And I was sparring, and I was a little bit embarrassed. I was a bit humiliated. I was thinking, this is winding me up now. What is he doing? And then the next round, the next spar, should I say, you get a bit closer to him. You start to make him breathe heavy, you start to tie him down, start to work him around the body, and you get to him. But if I'd have fought somebody like that in a boxing ring, with the crowds, that'd have really pissed me off and wound me up. I wouldn't have liked it. But it depends on your personality and your character. If you feel like somebody's humiliating you. But anyone who fights Ben Whittaker now, they know what they're getting in with. They know that's part of his game.
Yeah.
And
they price it into their thinking.
I'm all in with it. I enjoy it. I think it's good.
So
and he'll be in a position soon, if he wins a British title or goes up to European level, sort of that, where most people will turn up to watch him get beat. Yeah. They'll just want to see him lose. But that will create a massive
interest.
Become the villain, definitely.
But he's a nice boy.
He wins a world title.
I agree.
I was going to say, he wins a world title.
I believe.
I think so, Talented. Talented. Fast hands, fast reflexes, big puncher, amateur pedigree. World titles on the wall, mate.
What do you make of Hamza Shiraz this weekend? Obviously, he was out against Liam Williams. We saw Liam Williams in recent times, been in against high levels, was in against Eubank Jr, wasn't he?
Andrade as well.
And Demetrius Andrade. Yeah. But gets absolutely blown away.
I'm impressed.
In the first round.
I'm impressed with Hamza Shiraz. He's at 160 now.
Yeah.
And he's looking like he can punch hard. He believed, but I've got my reservations on Liam Williams' ability to now take even a jab.
Right.
And he took a shot, then he took another little shot, and his legs were gone. I don't think Liam Williams should be fighting anymore. We saw it against Chris Eubank Jr. when he hit him with a shot. He flattened him. So Shiraz, really good, great prospect, potential real bright future ahead of him. But it's hard to draw judgment just based on what I saw the weekend.
Yeah, I think Williams.
Because he had real trouble against Bradley Skeet, didn't he, Hamza Shiraz?
Yeah, he did.
You know, I know it's a particular bugbear of mine because the problems that hit.
But since moving up to middleweight, I think you look at Shiraz. He had 5 fights at middleweight. I think he's ended 4 of them inside 2 rounds, and one of them went 5 rounds, I believe. But I just think that's his weight. He's found his weight. He's tall, isn't he? Rangy. But like, there's a Thomas Hearns type look about him, like where he's tall and skinny, but he's got a real solid look.
Yeah,
he's a special talent. I think he wins a world title as well.
And every now and again, somebody comes through.
Special talent.
Someone comes through from that level, and they stand out, and you go, you know what, he's special. He's special, and that's him.
Yeah,
he stands out, doesn't he, from the rest? I think.
Who's the British middleweight champion at the moment? Is it Nathan Heaney or someone?
What, middleweight?
Yeah, middleweight. Nathan Heaney, I believe it is. Well, like, you know, if you look at that, you look at Shiraz. And you just go to him, where does he go? Talking about Chris Eubank Jr, by the way.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, your mate Frank will match him well, though, won't he?
Yeah. He'll definitely get matched up well, and you should do. You need to be matched up correctly. But you also need to take the risk.
Do you think he beats Eubank Jr now?
Hamza Shiraz?
Yeah.
I I just think he's too inactive, isn't he, Junior?
Well, it's time. Junior, what is he, 35 now?
Because he
as well?
got
You look
wiped
at
out
it.
by Liam Smith.
Yeah.
I know he won the rematch, but
Yeah.
I've got my question marks over Eubank Jr.
Right.
He's a bit of a celebrity fighter, and he's not. For me, he's not serious about boxing. So yeah, I think I'd make Shiraz the favourite going into that.
I think Shiraz, the star, was born on Saturday night. I think that hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you the fight between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia has been made.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw. I think you were quite critical, weren't you, about Garcia? You couldn't quite understand what he did in the
Against Davis,
Davis fight,
Davis.
where he didn't seem to want to get himself back into it and get himself off the
Definitely.
canvas.
First time he's been in any kind of trouble, and fair play to him, he's in against Devin Haney and he's getting caught. But that body shot, he sort of waited till the ref got to 9, then he jumped up.
Against Davis.
Against-
he's
no,
going
against
to fight Devin
Against
Haney.
Javante Davis.
Yeah, against Davis,
Oh, did I
yeah.
say Haney? So yeah, so against Javante Davis with that body shot, I think I wanted to see more from him. He'd have learned from that, but to jump in with someone like Devin Haney now, I think Haney's like, because of the weight division.
Listen, Cole, you know fighters.
It's a really hard
when they get
prospect
hit
for him.
Shots like that, body shots like that. You looked at Ryan Garcia when he was on the floor and he was looking at the referee. He weren't rolling around the
No,
floor,
he
mate. He could have
was your
easily
point, wasn't
rose
it?
against
was your
Garcia,
point,
Davis. He could have easily rose. Left a huge question mark over his over his desire, really, and you know his ability to really be able to bite down his gum shield.
Exactly.
I think that was a big concern for me. I think he goes in a massive underdog against Devin Haney.
Yeah, and the body shot, like you've just said there, like Matthew Macklin got hit with a body shot by Gennady Golovkin, and I know Macklin is tough, he's right, he's sparred with him quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
That body shot hurt him. Apparently he'd done a couple of his ribs, but you could see he couldn't breathe. He was rolling around on the floor in agony, like it wants to get up, but it's not going to happen. Garcia was on his knee, having a look. I could have ref. Then he stood up as soon as the ref waved it off. Then he was strolling around the ring like glad it was over. For me, that's not the right attitude.
So what does that mean about him? Is he's not all he's made up to be?
Listen,
Well, just that when you have to look, you're going to use you as an
Just come
example
back to
again.
me.
Here. You know, if you look at the Cobra and you think like that will to just stick in there, like when he boxed Jermaine Taylor, his first offence against Taylor out in the States.
I watched that
and you
yesterday.
go like, you know what I mean? He's picked himself up. You went down in the third round. Is that right? The third round?
Yeah.
You got floored in the third, and he just come back there, and he was battering you for rounds, weren't he? He was giving you, but you just stuck at it, and then you battered him.
Yeah.
Basically, you turned it around. Absolutely.
Last round.
But what I'm saying is that there were times in that fight where you could have gone, I'm
Could have
done.
swallowed, yeah.
I'm done.
Not me, but anyone else.
No, yeah, but I'm saying, what I'm saying is there was times when you showed your mental strength and
Absolutely,
character.
absolutely.
And Garcia didn't do that.
Right, didn't have the fortitude for it.
Nah.
What do you make of Teofimo Lopez over the weekend?
Frustrating night,
Bit
wasn't
of a
it?
running job, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Just on his
frustrating
back
night.
foot running, guy was trying to get to him. Oh, hang on, no, his opponent was running.
Yeah, his opponent was running,
and
yeah, but he was frustrated.
And Lopez was
Ortiz.
like, just thought to himself, you know what, I'm going to win this, even though it's close. If somebody's not engaging and you think you're winning the round, you're just like, well, I'm going to just win then. He's already questioned how much he gets paid and how he wants to get paid more, and he's the big star and he deserves better. So why take a risk? Why try and get yourself in punching range? So he did what he had to do to win. Didn't look spectacular, but he is a spectacular fighter. So I think, you know,
I think out in the States, they like aggression. They like fighters that are aggressive, and I think the scorecards reflected that because Ortiz, you know, a lot of people felt that, you know, you look online, a lot of people felt Ortiz won that fight. You go, but out there and where they was at, and he was against Teofimo, like he's trying to rip those titles, and you look at that and they go, you're too negative, mate. You're being too negative. And so when you're watching it visually, yes, it was a close fight, but you're not going to take the champions' titles from boxing like that. You've got to stick in there and give it a little go. And I think that was the problem.
you can't land the odd jab, can you?
No, and that's what he was doing. He was trying to nick it.
You can't do that. As much if someone scored it and you said, well, actually, he's won that round because he landed 7 jabs and he's only landed 1 right hand. Yeah, but he's backing him up. Yeah, but how are we scoring it? And say, well, he's the champ. He's running. He don't deserve to win the title, and it probably shouldn't be like that. But the 3 judges sit there and say, what's he doing?
Yeah,
and that's what happened there.
Yeah. Right, that's it. This is a bit like that episode where Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn are sitting around, everyone's admiring one another, being nice to one another, no jeopardy.
I'll give him a bit.
But we're not getting the dough that they're getting out of it. It's like we're being so pleasant.
But you've got all the dough, though, so like, perhaps, you know.
Give it to footballers, didn't I? Right, that's it for episode 60. We hope to have Carl back in the future, but given we're paying him by the words, we can't afford him. See you next time we're out. Well done, boys.